Hi, everybody. My name's Jake Hogan, and I don't know about you, but I absolutely love peanut butter. It's one of my favorite foods, but also it's one of the only foods that everyone in my family actually enjoys. I mean, God bless my father because he's the family chef and he has to deal with my mom who has a gluten allergy, me who's a vegetarian, and my sister who's just plain picky to be honest. But one thing I like to make as a dessert that everyone can enjoy is these super simple peanut butter cookies. By super simple, I mean that these cookies only have four main ingredients. That being flour, I use gluten-free flour from my mother, brown sugar, peanut butter, you can use any type of peanut butter, but I'll go more in depth on that in a second, and baking soda. Now, to talk about peanut butter for a second, like I said, any brand will work, but keep in mind that the texture of the peanut butter you use will affect the amount of flour that you incorporate into the dough. So for a brand like Teddy's, I find it's a bit grainier, and so you want to add a little bit less flour than you would for a brand like Skippy or Jif or any of the more common brands that you will find in any supermarket. These tend to be creamier, and therefore you want to add a little bit more flour just to make sure you get a nice dough texture. So as far as actual proportions and measurements go, my general rule of thumb is 1 part flour, 1 part brown sugar, 2 parts peanut butter, and then just a sprinkle, maybe a teaspoon of baking soda. Of course, like I said, depending on the brand of peanut butter you're using, you might need to tweak it a little to ensure that you're getting that nice dough texture that will bake well. And if you haven't baked many cookies before, I'll give you an example of what I mean in just a second. For the sake of time, I mixed this off camera, and this is the dough texture that I'm talking about. You should be able to see these kind of air bubbles form as you drag a knife across it, and it should be able to hold its shape when you roll it into a ball. So once your dough is mixed, you're gonna wanna prep a regular baking sheet with any cooking spray, and then you're gonna take your clean hands or a meatball scoop or an ice cream scoop, really whatever you wanna use to shape these, and just get a good amount of dough, roll it, place it down, and that's it. Now, there are some extra steps that I like to do that are completely optional, but you can put a little crisscross pattern on the top of the dough and just put that right on your baking sheet, and that will create that nice crisscross pattern that you see on a lot of traditional peanut butter cookies in recipes and online. My sister also likes them with chocolate chips, so I just take a few chocolate chips in my hand and press those right into the top of the ball of dough. Something else you could try is taking a square of a chocolate bar and just pressing that right into the top of one of the balls of dough, and that will create a nice little pocket of chocolate at the top. I also like to sometimes melt chocolate in the microwave and just drizzle a little bit over once the cookies are baked, and I will show you some examples of all of those in just a second. So I just took these out of the oven. I baked them at 350 for 20 minutes. And there are a couple things to consider. Because of the fact that they contain no gluten and no eggs or dairy, they're gonna be a bit more crumbly and potentially a bit drier than the cookies that you're used to. So because of that, you need to let them cool for longer than you would a typical cookie before you try and pick them up or scoop them up with the spatula. But once they do cool, they are a delicious treat that me and my family all enjoy. The recipe may not be suited to you and your personal preferences, But regardless, I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I hope that you are having a great day or night, whatever it is for you, and I look forward to watching all of your demonstrations.